Welcome back, everybody. We've got offensive coordinator and offensive line coach Mike Bloesch here ahead of Cal's visit to Wake Forest on Friday night. We'll go to Cody Henderson from the league winners for the first question.
Yeah, Coach. The game against Oregon State, that was probably the best the offense has looked all season, including the offensive line. They gave up 0 sacks. Do you feel like, with the injuries early on in the season, that now that some of the guys are a little bit healthy, the offensive line is finally gelling together?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you would hope so. We have, through the first 6 weeks of the season, we had, I think, almost 6 different lineups. So anytime you can keep some stability and continuity with that group in particular, I feel like it gives us a really good advantage going into the rest of the season. So getting guys like Vatakani back, TJ Session back, and then having a young guy like Fred Williams step up and make his first career start in that Oregon State game was a lot of positive momentum for the O-line from that game.
Thanks, Coach.
Go to Jeff Grotto from Cal Bears on that side.
Hey, Mike. Wonder if you could just give me your evaluation on how Fernando has progressed this season and sort of what were the off-season things that were emphasized for his improvement.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the things that he did last year as a freshman, I think we all saw flashes of the quarterback that he could become. The thing that stood out the most last year in a negative aspect was the turnovers. And so that was the huge point of emphasis. I think he's done a really good job of protecting the football, and we've done a nice job offensively of that. I think Coach brought it up to the team the other day. We're currently, I think, number 2 in the country in turnover margin, that gives you a chance in every single game you play. And we got to continue to do that. As far as his improvement over the season, I think you're just starting to see a guy the game is slowing down. You see it in his feet, you see it in his progression. And the thing that stood out in the Oregon State game was his ability to extend plays, which is something that we've been talking to him a lot about. There's times the protection's going to break down in every game. There's times that, somebody's going to sink underneath a route and you've got to buy time and create plays. And he did that well against Oregon State.
He's at like 73% completion over the past 3 games. Is that the ceiling, or can he be better still?
No, I think that's obviously a pretty solid number. I think especially as we want to push the ball down the field more, your percentages are going to go down. But when you're throwing quick game, when you're throwing RPOs, we expect to be in that 70 to 75% range.
Thank you.
Yes.
Steve Kroner, SF Chronicle.
Yeah, Mike, I asked a similar question to Justin. Steve Kerr has used the phrase gravity to kind of reference how teams focus so much on Steph Curry. The gravity around Steph Curry opens things up for other guys on the Warriors. Jaden Ott did not have great running back numbers against Oregon State, but your offense did. Is there some connection, some comparison to the gravity that Stephen Curry has to the gravity that Jaden Ott might have?
I do think anytime you've got a player like that on the field, the defense is obviously going to be aware of where he's at, moving him around, lining him up in empty formations, bringing him back and forth, back into the box, getting different runs going. But yeah, anytime you have a player like that that's on the field, and the defense is going to be keyed in on that. We knew Oregon State was a really good rush defense. They had played well against a lot of teams in the running game. And so the game plan was kind of to exploit their secondary a little bit.
Thank you.
Matt Rayno, Rivals.
Tron had his most productive game of the season. What can he do, or what maybe can you and the staff do to help him kind of build off of that moving forward?
Yeah, just continue to be him. And I think that's one thing that I love about Tron is the way that he works every day. He's never been a guy that has complained about touches, has complained about anything. He is willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win. Obviously, his ability down the field is where he can really separate from people once he gets running at top speed. And so that's something that we have to continue to utilize him for, and as well as his ability to catch the ball over the middle and things like that. He's just such a big target for the quarterback on the field because of his size that he's a very quarterback friendly receiver.
We'll go back to Jeff.
Yeah, Justin told us that Tobias Merriweather and Keon Grays are getting closer to being ready to play, perhaps. And I'm wondering, they're obviously going to give you a different dimension down the field, but how much chemistry and timing and all that stuff has to develop with the quarterback and the whole offense to incorporate guys like that, 2/3 the way through the season?
Those guys are practicing. And so, when they're available to practice from the medical staff, we get them on the field, and we've been rolling them with both groups offensively, just trying to get them any reps that we can. Obviously, conditioning is a big deal for receivers whenever you've been out for the amount of time that those guys have been out. So it's about building the conditioning and being able to sustain throughout the course of a drive and the course of a game. So we'll know a little bit more about kind of pitch count and where those guys are at. But they look like, to me, they've jumped right back in, and Fernando hasn't had any issues with a timing standpoint with those guys.
So it sounds like we might see them on Friday night.
That's hopeful. I'm hoping so.
You've been hoping so for 2 months, though, right?
I know. Well, I tell you this, we're a whole lot closer right now than we were 2 months ago.
Right. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.